Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 21st day of June, 2024, Friday of the 11th week of the year, the 11th week in Ordinary Time. It is also the second day of summer. I forgot to mention yesterday was the beginning of summer, the summer solstice, and summer is setting itself quite heavily in at least the parts of the eastern United States, the central eastern United States, as it had already before it became summer in the Midwest and in parts of the West. But now that heat dome has moved here and it is settling itself for the next couple of days, the humidity is kind of back. It is hot. So take care of yourself. Make sure that you are inside in air conditioning as much as you can. Eat watermelon. It's very refreshing. And make daiquiris, blender drinks. Blender drinks is a good day today. It's good for today, whether they have alcohol in them or not. Today we also remember, though, St. Aloysius Gonzaga. It's his memorial. Again, the young Jesuit who lived in the 16th century, the 1500s, experienced all the intrigues of Renaissance Italy, came from a very wealthy, noble family, and basically decided to leave all of that wealth and inheritance and enter the Society of Jesus. A lad who was not always well, who was kind of sickly, he went on for some studies. He never was fully professed as a Jesuit because during his time when he was in Rome doing some of his studies, a plague infected the city, and he decided that he was going to go and help the victims, and because of that contracted the plague himself, which eventually led to his death. He became one of the first great models of youthful faith, of youthful aspiration in faith. Again, a religious, yes, but someone, again, who could be a model for young people in trying to live the faith. Again, there's always this interesting, people have great extremes being the models, to live the faith. Sometimes you just need a regular guy or a regular woman to be able to use as a model. You need people of authenticity and people of authentic character, maybe who understand the importance of faith, even at any age, to be able to do that. But Aloysius becomes that. Again, they want Carlos Acutis to become this. But again, it's always important to realize that it's not the extremes, and it's not, trying to cajole people into the faith by saying, oh, look, here's a young person who was cool in this way or cool in that way, and he believed, why don't you believe too? It's something that has to touch the heart. It's not just the surface. And so, again, Aloysius Gonzaga basically had a heart that could be touched in many different ways by what it is that he saw and what he experienced. And so he basically decided he needed to do what needed to be done, and did not let any kind of age or whatever it is, or any kind of characteristic of an age deny him from doing that. And so remember his work and what he did, and the selflessness that he possessed on this day, that we honor him. The readings, though, for today, there are special readings if you want to remember Aloysius at Mass, but the readings for today, for the first Friday of the 11th week of the year, are complex in some ways, because here we have the great saga of Athaliah, a queen regent, a daughter of Jezebel. And again, by even saying that, it's not going to end up very well. So she was a great proponent of the worship of Baal, and she influences kind of her husband, who was Joram, I believe, to worship Baal, and there's a whole bunch of terrible things. Well, what happens is that she was one of his wives. So again, this is where the polygamy was very rampant in Israel at this time. It was quite acceptable to do so. And what happens is that her son dies, and she gets furious about that because there was a possibility that he would be the heir. And so as it was passing to the son of the next wife, she decides Athaliah is going to kill all the royal family, and so she does so. But they take the son of Joram, and they hide him away, and in the temple. Actually, they hide him away in the temple. And when he comes of age, and she becomes then queen regent, because her son, should have been the king, and somehow I guess the king also dies. It's all very complicated. And in the Book of Kings, it doesn't make much sense. So yesterday, remember that we ended, we stopped talking about Elijah and went to Sirach to give the great praise of Elijah, and now we're back to the Book of Kings, where Elijah's work and Elisha's work seems to have been for naught, because the kings and queens of Israel are still running crazy, and so they make the kid a king, king, again, in opposition to Athaliah, and basically the army supports the rightful heir as opposed to what Athaliah was, and they take her out of the city and they kill her. Lots of death. Book of Kings is all about death. And again, why do we read it? Because you read about the foolishness of humanity, and the sad foolishness, the tragic foolishness of humanity, again, that thinks it can rule in God's place, and can rule better than God. And this is what you have, and this is what befalls. So the interesting sort of narrative that we hear these next couple of days about Israel's failings in trying to be, again, a people of God on their own terms rather than on God's own terms, which is always a problem, for human beings when they try to live on our own terms as opposed to living on God's terms. The gospel for today is kind of just pithy sayings, about making sure that that light that is within you shines, it does not become dark, that to know where your treasure is, that it's in heaven. Again, sometimes it seems as though it's a denial again of the earth, it's a denial of the world, it's a denial of the goodness of the world. But again, Jesus is basically trying to say, do not get wrapped up and do not get trapped in what the world values and what the world offers, because while the world is good, sometimes what it chooses to offer is not good for us. And so to get at the heart of what the goodness of the earth is means that we have to recognize where heaven again has its mark on earth, and that's where light shines and conquers darkness and allows us to be the people God intends us to be. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.